can't help but these, cause they know they can never touch these. So baby, let me talk my shit, or I might just go another feed. You know I can't help but these, cause they know they can never touch these.
It's about that time of the week, ladies and gentlemen. I got a good one for you. I got a divisional matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Chicago Bears are currently on a 7-game losing streak, but it's not what it seems. But we're going to get into that later on in the video. The Minnesota Vikings are looking to extend their win streak from 6 games to 7 games. Currently trying to fight the Detroit Lions for the #1 spot in the NFC North. Sam Darnold's coming off a phenomenal game, throwing a total of 5 touchdowns, 347 yards in the air. Looking like the Sam Darnold that we saw in the first half of the season when everybody was trying to put him in the MVP conversation. But this brings up the question, can he repeat this same performance that he had last week? What team will get Sam Darnold in the offseason? What kind of contract will that look for? But that's not what we're here to discuss. Right now we're here to discuss how the Minnesota Vikings are going to take on the Chicago Bears. Now, the Chicago Bears, they the Bears.
The Bears.
They just gave up 325 yards to Purdy in the air. And the 49ers team with no run game. Brock Purdy looked like an all-time legend in that game. But whatever the game plan was for the Chicago Bears against the 49ers, I hope they grab that playbook and put it in the shredder. Get rid of it. It didn't work. And I hope and I pray that they do not try to do the same thing with the Minnesota Vikings, or we're going to just see a repeat of last week. In my opinion, the Bears are a halftime team. This is a team that goes into the locker room getting blown out in the first half. I think a Ray Lewis kind of speech is said in the locker room.
The Bears.
You know what I'm saying? Puts a lot more hope in the veterans and the rookies on this team. And this team comes out better than we saw in the first half. Actually getting stops. Forcing the team to be 3 and out. Scoring touchdowns. Moving the ball effectively in the second half. Now, for the exception of the 49ers game last week, where they couldn't stop anybody. I believe the From the Hip podcast crew could have went on the field and probably scored a touchdown on this Bears defense that we saw last week. But in recent weeks against the Lions, the Packers, and even the Vikings, these are one-score games. These are games determined by one score. And where they went into half losing by almost 3 scores. This team needs the right leadership. And I believe with the new interim head coach and with Caleb Williams evolving as a young quarterback. He's not a terrible quarterback, but he's evolving into a young quarterback, and he needs to learn to be patient and make the right decisions. The coaching needs to know that you cannot play only half the game. You need to play the entire game out. Meaning, it's not time to turn on the booklet at halftime. You know what I'm saying? It's time to play football correctly throughout 4 quarters instead of trying to rush and play a 2-quarter game. But that's just my opinion on the Chicago Bears. Back in week 12, we seen this matchup already when the Minnesota Vikings went down to Chicago to play the Bears that went to overtime. Now, I believe there's something about these divisional matchups where it's always a close game, that you can never call the winner directly. Even with the Bears being 4-9, I believe they still have a strong chance to beat the Vikings at home. And that's just because of the being divisional rivals, playing each other twice a year and knowing each other extremely well. But I do have history repeating itself with the Vikings winning 30-21 in no overtime in a straight up 4-quarter matchup. And that's solely because a mistake that Caleb Williams makes once again to cost his team the victory, where he should just play football the way he did back in USC and the way he did in the first 6 games of the season. But tell me how y'all feel about it. Do you guys think the Vikings come out on top again, or do you guys think that the Chicago Bears change history and split the divisional matchups with them this year? But leave a comment, like the video, and until next time, I'ma holla at y'all. From the Hit Podcast, man.